Okay, we are back in Friendsim 2. I think we did all the chatty bits with Daria, so let's go see what Brunya is doing.
Self-voicing enabled. You head back toward the common room you first saw Brunya in, guided by your impeccable friend senses. Sure enough, she's still in there, sitting down in one of the armchairs and reading quietly to herself.
Oh, it's you again.
It sure is. You're definitely being non-intrusive and not pestering anyone at all. On an unrelated note, would she mind answering a series of increasingly personal questions?
Oh, of course. I'd love to answer your questions. Which I'm sure won't be 1. Overly invasive. 2. Take up too much time.
She smiles at you broadly.
Huh.
Save slot 6. Close.
Start from the top.
About the caverns.
Why would she care about Karako?
Where's Karako?
Whatever.
About the caverns.
What did you want to know about the caverns? That's such a broad question, and I could talk for hours about it.
Yeah, okay, that's a pretty good point. Well, you guess you were wondering about the general situation in the caverns. Like, you notice that there's no more drones around and that feels kinda weird. Plus, aren't they all supposed to be off-world or something?
Oh my goodness, yes! 1. The drones were scheduled to be removed for refitting, but we haven't gotten replacements yet. 2. We're all currently waiting to be relieved by someone else who can take over our duties in the cavern. 3. At that time, we will be assigned off-world somewhere.
Her voice trails off, and you can hear how sad she sounds. Well, wait a minute, you interrupt quickly. Maybe she's done such a good job that they'll let her stick around.
It doesn't really work like that. What I do here, any Jadeblood with proper training can do it. Well, most of it.
She steals a glance over at one of the grubs making its way along a low bench in one corner of the common room. You remember the nursery, all those grubs that would surely be suitable only for culling if Brunya wasn't there to help them. You wonder what would happen if she wasn't there, if someone less compassionate or less willing to defy the Empire was in charge.
Defy the Empire? Goodness no!
Oh, well shit, you did the thing again. No, you clarify, you don't mean defy the Empire, more like, going against established rules and procedures in a way that's surely not going to be noticed. Brunya looks nervous.
As long as we're clear about that, I would never want to defy the Empire. Why?
She doesn't say anything else, she doesn't have to say anything else. Your mind immediately goes to the other people living in the caverns. All of the people that Brunya's committed herself to taking care of. What would happen to them if she were seen as defiant? You really don't want to keep going down this particular mental footpath, so you quickly change the subject. Where's Karako? Brunya's face falls as soon as the question leaves your mouth. She shifts and grabs a handful of skirt in her hands, working the cloth between her fingertips as she bites her lip.
What relationship did she even have with Karako? I seem to forget.
She's not here right now.
Wait, she? Did she maybe misspeak? You thought Karako was a boy? Brunya shrugs.
Actually, I had a commenter on my channel say that they were gonna trans Karako, which looks like was true, so there we go.
No, she wasn't. Isn't. She's still out there somewhere.
It really feels like she's talking past you now. Something about Karako specifically is hitting her very close to home and you're not sure how to pry this particular nugget of information out.
In any case, I don't want to talk about it.
Ooh, just
save. Next save slot. Come on. Brunya glares at you, and you see something in her face that you don't think you've seen before. Or maybe you have seen it before. It feels like the remnant of one of those excursions down a dead-end timeline you took.
I said that I don't want to talk about it. The least you can do is respect my wishes on the matter.
One.
Oh. Ooh,
one.
Brunya.
At Grub Sitters Club. At Grub Sitters Club. Some people don't know.
What not to ask about, when to
one
stop
what not
asking,
to ask about.
how to read
At
comments,
so
please.
Save slot 2. Save. Load.
Don't really need to save
Load,
that there.
load.
Let's go try
Load
that again.
Okay, sorry. Brynja shakes her head, and there's a deep sadness behind her eyes. You wish you could say something to her, something to make this all better, but you really don't know what you could possibly say that wouldn't end up making this exponentially worse. You end up settling for a half-hearted smile and a little bit of a wave. Brynja nods
I appreciate
at
that you're trying at least.
Alright, well, we don't lose a point at least.
Quit. Save slot. Save. Close.
Alright, Linera seems
Linera
nice.
seems nice. Brynja squints and smiles softly.
Oh, she is. She is. 1. Always cheerful about her work around the caverns. 2. Always willing to help the others. 3.
Brynja clears her throat.
3. She is the best Moirail I could ever hope to have.
Brynja's face breaks into a grin that feels strangely forced. You know what? This is actually getting kind of ridiculous. You've been dancing around this for so long now, and it's painfully obvious what's going on here. Save slot. Save. Close.
Linera's
obviously flushed for her.
Let's see if we get any heart.
Brynja lets out a heavy, long sigh and shakes her head. There's a lot here, a lot to unpack and process, and maybe you pushed things a little bit too much. Then again, you're getting sick and tired of all these people who refuse to talk about their feelings with each other.
You're wrong about that. We're pale with each other. Moirails. The best Moirails.
She laughs nervously, that same forced feeling from before, and this actually hurts to watch.
They're friends.
You caught on pretty quickly that Linera had a gigantic crush on Brynja. She wasn't exactly subtle about it. But you might have misjudged how Brynja felt in return. Has she considered that maybe, and you're just putting this out there, she might have some feelings for Linera that she hasn't fully explored?
Stop it! 1. I'm in a happy matespritship with someone else, something I take very seriously. 2. Linera and I are Moirails, and even if I weren't already spoken for in that quadrant, the idea of vacillating like that it's not supposed to be like that. I really need you to stop poking your non-existent nose into situations that have nothing to do with you.
4.
Uh-oh.
4.
Lost some points. Let's see what we got.
Select.
I am
At
very
Grub
happy with my
Sitters
mate
Club. At Grub Sitters Club,
And
I'm very
anyone
happy
who's
with my mate
nothing about
Spritz.
relationship with
And
my
anyone who suggests otherwise
Friends
knows
are
nothing
mate
about
Spritz
my
Club.
relationship with my
What a
mates.
silly-
At
what a
select.
silly mistake.
Save. Save slot 5.
Save, and then
Load.
go back
Load
and
select. Load. Load.
load.
Load slot.
Haha.
Enthusiastic nod. Oh geez, it really hurts to look at that smile. She looks so uncomfortable. You wonder if maybe this wasn't the right approach. Maybe it would have been better to be more upfront about what's right in front of your face.
Of course! You understand how important my pale relationship with Linera is, and my matespritship with Daria. Everything fits into place just the way it should.
That's certainly one way to put it. 4.
Alright, same message probably.
At
yep.
Grubsit. Selected. At Grubsit. Selected. Save slot. Closed.
So, she and Daria are
So,
a thing now?
she and Daria are.
Yes, I suppose you could say we are a thing. If by that, you mean we are in a happy matespritship together, of course.
Yeah, that's basically what you meant. It's just, well, it's a little bit. You're trying to find a way to put this that won't make Brynja feel awful. You never really got the sense that Brynja and Daria were interested in each other like that. Brynja doesn't seem to like this. She knits her eyebrows and frowns at you.
Because you know so much about our matespritship? Because you know so much about all of us? After more than 2 sweeps, you know people change, right?
Yeah, you guess that's true. You think back on everyone you've met up until now, on how their lives had diverged at some point while you weren't there. You wonder how many others you'll meet whose lives have similarly branched away from their original path. Who are you to judge?
Thank you for being so understanding. In any case, 1. Daria and I have been matesprits for almost a sweep now. 2. We both experience a happy balance of flush, pitched, and pale quadrants. 3. We are both very happy with how things are and hardly experience a single thought to the contrary.
She smiles, somewhat unconvincingly.
You understand this is all normal, right?
Brynja.
Ah,
Save. 5.
yeah,
Next.
totally
Save slot.
normal.
Close. Brynja. Oh yeah, definitely normal.
Exactly. You understand. Sometimes you end up in a quadrant with someone you didn't expect. Sometimes you end up wondering why you have these differing, conflicting feelings for several people. It's all just part of life. No one said things would be easy after all.
She looks at you and laughs nervously. Yeah, you're really starting to think that there's more to all of this than you're even really aware of. Maybe better to talk about something else?
Let's see what the other
Load.
options.
Load. Load slot 1. Actually, no. Brynja frowns and looks down at her feet.
And what do you mean by that exactly?
Well, okay, and you really don't want her to take this the wrong way. Has she considered that maybe her feelings might be more complicated than she thought? Brynja looks at you evenly and shakes her head.
That's silly. Everyone knows that. 1. Quadrants are designed to simplify and organize our lives. 2. It's for our own good that they're kept separate. 3. Vacillation and quadrant infidelity only cause more problems than they're worth.
But, does she really believe all of that? Does she really, truly believe it?
So this is kind of making it seem as though the whole quadrant thing is some sort of like top-down enforced system. The way I always kind of envisioned it from the original Homestuck comic was that it's just kind of like more of just categorizing what they found was normal. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. Whatever.
Like, for example, maybe she does have red feelings for Daria. But what if, and this is purely hypothetical, she also had similar feelings for someone else too? Would that be bad? Why would it matter how she feels, as long as she was being honest and open with the other people involved? Brynja begins to look deeply embarrassed.
This is silly. Everyone knows you're not supposed to act like that. It just causes more problems than it's worth.
It kind of seems like they're trying to push the whole what the hell's polyamory type thing, which can't say I'm really on board with that, but moving on.
Okay, sure. And maybe she doesn't like hearing it, but maybe it's something she needs to hear. Brynja frowns at you.
I'd rather talk about something else now, if it's all the same to you.
Oh geez, I lost a lot of points.
Quit game. Save slot 2. Save.
But let's load the bottom one. Sure, we're good here.
Load slot. Brynja, maybe. You're not sure, to be honest. What even is normal when you really get down to it? How do you simplify and define feelings about other people like that?
You know, what they're probably going to do is, like, the best choices are actually the ones where you lose all of the hearts because you're giving them real truths that are hard to hear, something like that.
That's not much of an answer, but I suppose it doesn't really matter, does it?
I didn't lose any points there, so...
Save slot 3.
Go ahead and save
Close.
there.
Going off-world soon? A heavy sigh leaves Brynja's lips. She leans forward and shakes her head slowly.
One day soon, anyway. As soon as the caverns are brought back up to full capacity. The drones need repair, and we need additional Jades to come in and take over for the three of us.
It doesn't take a genius to figure out who the three of us refers to, so you don't ask for her to explain.
And then, we'll all do our duty.
And what does that mean? You're not completely sure what it is that the Jade Bloods do once they go off-world. Something about Space Church?
You're thinking of the clowns, I think. Jade Bloods end up in the cloisters, though. Or on the colonies. It depends on what's needed at any given moment.
She's looking at the ground as she says it, and you're sitting here trying to figure out exactly what the implications of all this are. You remember Lank talking about the cloisters, but he wasn't very keen on giving you specifics.
The cloisters are... It's where we go to prepare new mother grubs. To ensure our species has a future. but there are strict rules. For one thing, we wouldn't be allowed to hold any kind of attachments to others that might influence our thinking.
So, wait a minute, is she saying that she'd have to be by herself? They wouldn't keep her together with anyone else? Not her mate Sprit or her Moiral? Brynja nods solemnly.
And how exactly do you think I feel about that?
Brynja.
Let me see.
Save slot. Brynja. Deeply unhappy. Brynja's weird forced smile returns so quickly it almost gives you whiplash.
No! Why ever would you say that?
Well, you know, on account of that she seems kinda miserable talking about this. Regardless of what kind of feelings she needs to sort through here with her fellow Jades.
Feelings we've established are well-defined and in no way controversial.
Sure.
Lost a
But
hog
it seems like she's going to be miserable off-world. The people she cares most about will just be gone. And you can't imagine that they have Chidra in deep space.
They do not, in fact.
Again, Brynja plasters that same horrible fake smile on and shakes her head quickly.
I can't let myself think about that. 1. I have things to do here. 2. I have people that I care about.
She trails off, and you're sure that you can see the tears forming in the corner of her eyes. You know what, maybe it would be better to just talk about something else. Yeah. A good distraction is always a solid plan. Brynja sniffles quietly and smiles again. This time, it isn't the broad, faux smile she was putting on before, but something smaller, quieter, and oh so much sadder. 1.
Okay.
1. At Grub Sitters Club at Grub Sitters Club at select save load slot Brynja let's go with conflicted. When she responds to you, her voice is full of bitterness.
You could say that, yes. I have many mixed feelings about the circumstances we're in right now. But it doesn't matter, because I have my grubs to care for. I have people I care about. I have responsibilities. And if I stop for even 1 second to worry about what happens next...
She trails off, and you're sure that you can see the tears forming in the corner of her eyes. You know what, maybe it would be better to just talk about something else. Yeah. A good distraction is always a solid plan. She trails, Brynja sniffles quietly and smiles again. This time, it isn't the broad, faux smile she was putting on before, but something smaller, quieter, and oh so much sadder. Save slot. Close. What's with all the grubs? You can't help but notice that there's grubs, well, basically everywhere. You got the impression from your last visit that they were kind of fragile.
They are, but it's important that they also have a safe environment to explore in. After all, grub enrichment is critical in ensuring proper wiggler development.
Well, except for the ones she's nursing back to health, right? They need to be kept safe from harm, more than the others. Brynja looks off to the side nervously.
Yes? Well, 1. Every grub deserves the same chance at a healthy life. 2. Rules to the contrary are nonsense.
Huh, you never thought you'd hear her say something like that. Is she sure she doesn't have a bit of a rebellious streak in her? Brynja's face blanches and she shakes her head vigorously.
Of course not!
Okay, sure. That seems reasonable and not at all like a lie. As you're about to move this increasingly awkward conversation along, you hear a soft chirp, coming from Brynja's coat pocket. Looking down, you see a tiny grub poking their head out, grinning at you. Gah.
Oh, yeah. They were significantly smaller than the other grubs at hatching. I doubt they would have survived on their own, especially given standard procedure in such cases.
So, she just decided to carry them around in her pocket?
Just until they get bigger. After all, every grub deserves the same chance at a healthy life.
She smiles softly and reaches down to tickle the tiny group's head. They respond with another soft chirp and a half-hearted attempt to bite Brynja's finger. Huh, You think it's really cool that she's fighting back against the Empire's system like that?
Oh no! I'm not fighting the Empire, just not telling them about this. It's not an important detail. As matriarch of these caverns, it is well within my rights to make these decisions.
You suspect that's not actually true, but you wisely decide not to press the issue anymore.
I think maybe it would be best if you gave me a minute.
You're about to argue with her, but you catch the look in her eyes and you decide that, yeah, maybe it would be better to go talk to someone else for a while. Or do something else. Literally anything other than bother Brynja.
Okay, it looks like the only option is to check on
Save slot.
But
Close.
still save skimming anyway.
Check on Lynira. Well, this was great and all, but you figure you should definitely go see what Lynira's up to. After all, it would be rude to ignore the friend who greeted you when you arrived here.
Seeing as it's the one that greeted us.
You wander off to find Lynira. You still vaguely remember the way from before, and you can't help but think that this whole situation is feeling odd. Like you've stepped into a wholly different genre of experience yet again. Fortunately, you don't have the time to reflect on things, because you quickly arrive at Lynira's weird, creepy murder dungeon. Except, it isn't a weird, creepy murder dungeon.
Giving me Ardata vibes. Although, what is that? That could be an Iron Maiden or something.
In fact, well, it just kind of looks like a quiet side room in a university library or something. The room is lined with bookshelves, mostly full of regular, non-murder themed books. You can make out a few titles, boring stuff like Grub Raising, Best Practices and the 7 Habits of the Highly Organized Auxiliatrix and, okay, that one sounds like it's probably a somewhat salacious romance novel. At one end of the room, Lynira sits behind a wooden desk, writing in a small journal. She closes the journal with a soft thump and gets up to come greet you.
Oh, it's you again. My apologies for before. I shouldn't have left without saying anything else.
Honestly, you're still kind of reeling at the redecoration that's been happening here. This is, well, it looks pretty nice. Lynira adjusts that sweater vest she always seems to be wearing and smiles at you, expectantly.
I am kind of getting the vibe that they're really trying to tone down the inherent violent nature of the trolls. It was very out there and very how should I put this? Very well canonized that troll society was very violent, and it looks like they're really trying to draw that back, maybe try to make them a little more good guys, so to speak. They're not even really good guys, just not as comfortable with violence and evil, but whatever.
Save.
Oh yeah, let's
Next
ask about
file.
the murder dungeon.
Save slot. Close. About the murder dungeon.
Excuse me? The what?
Lynira's eyebrows knit up and she looks around the room quickly. Oh, you say very casually, still working on being super casual literally all the time. After all, the horrible murder dungeon where she tied you up and threatened your life.
My study. Are you talking about my study?
Yeah, that study, murder dungeon. It's all good. Just that you notice she's changed the decor lately. What's that about? Lynira's face is a mix of confusion and the first traces of genuine pain.
Studying anatomy as in dissection.
But it always looked like this. I'm sorry. I know it might be a little bit dusty, but to call it a murder dungeon is very rude.
Wait. One.
Oh, lost a point. What's this one?
One.
Probably heard. No.
One. Trend. Selected.
Why would
At space
I have a
die
dungeon
sweater
at
vest
all,
at
let
space.
alone one for
Selected.
murder? Okay, let's see if I can
Quit.
get that point back.
Save slot. Close. You're sorry. Obviously there's been some kind of fundamental miscommunication. You try to think back, to remember what was happening at the time. You were stressed out, you'd just been tied up and were being interrogated.
You were an intruder. What was I supposed to do? Let you just go hurt the people I love?
Oh shit. You hadn't thought about it like that. Maybe she didn't see a random stranger appearing in her home one day in such a great light. Okay, but seriously, this room hasn't changed.
No. Well, I mean, I did get one new thing. I don't think you saw these.
She walks over to a shelf and picks up 3 small plush dolls. They're clearly made to look like Brynja, Lenira, and Daria, albeit rendered in the somewhat crude medium of felt. They're cute. Lenira gives each of the dolls a squeeze in turn and smiles.
My Kiss Me Sis and my Moirail and me? It's been the 3 of us for a while, and maybe it's not always easy, but at least we have each other.
She sets the dolls down on the shelf again and turns to smile at you. 1.
Was there something else you wanted to ask about?
Got the point back. Well, first off, let's see
1.
what this is.
1. Selected. At space die sweater vest. At space. Selected.
Never mind, it was a misunderstanding. I'm thinking that with Bronya, the correct options were probably the ones that actually gave me chitter messages, but whatever, I'm not going to go back and read
Save.
it.
Save slot. Close.
I want to see what I get
Load.
the other
Load.
option.
Load. Load. Load slot. 1. But there was definitely a murder done. 1.
Things first.
Selected. But there was definitely a murder dungeon. You're quite sure on this one. You were in this room and it was all lined with dark stone and skulls and stuff. It was pretty scary, actually. And she tied you up and you were quite sure you were going to be murdered. In the dungeon. Lenira's eyes water. She looks like she's about to cry.
Why would you say that?
Wait, excuse you?
The only reason I tied you up was because I thought you were here to hurt us. How was I supposed to know you were just here to make friends? Who even does that? And to say I was keeping you in some kind of dungeon. Like I'm some kind of gambling knot.
Gambling knot?
She sniffles loudly.
Not
I'm
familiar with that
sorry,
word.
okay? Maybe I didn't react the best way, but I was just worried about the others. You have no idea what it's like here.
Oh, shit. You're beginning to think there never actually was a murder dungeon.
That's what I've been saying this whole time.
Trying to carefully paper over the
Lenira.
murder dungeon.
That's
Was
what
there
I've been
something
saying
else
this
you
whole
wanted to
time.
ask about?
Select Lenira. Lenira.
How rude some people
Select
are.
Lenira. Say. Load. 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 Load slot.
Load.
About 1.
It was
At
just a
space-
misunderstanding.
select-
There we go.
Her and Daria. What's that about?
Oh, well, we've been pitched for about a sweep now?
Lenira looks down at the ground, her eyes flitting back and forth as a frown plays across her face.
She's always doing things that I think they're dangerous. I hate her.
You're still trying to get your head around exactly what the whole pitch quadrant thing even means. It seems kind of like a rivalry thing. Enemies to lovers. Honestly, you're not sure, especially after seeing the kind of weird dynamic that Tagora and Galek seem to have going on.
Well, we're here to make sure we're our best. She pushes my buttons and I push hers, but in a good way.
She's blushing deeply, fidgeting with her sweater, and smiling. You're not even sure if this is typical behavior for a Kismesis.
Oh, it's very normal.
Yeah. Quit game. Save slot. Save. Close.
Did I lose a point there?
Oh yeah, they seem normal.
Of course. We're in a stable and healthy pitch relationship. We don't have any kind of problems.
Your mind flashes back to what Daria said when you first saw her and Lenira again, something about a secret? What did that mean? Lena is looking at you expectantly, as if she really needs this to all be okay. You don't think you can honestly say one way or the other exactly what's going on with her and Daria, but that little slip of the tongue earlier felt pretty meaningful. Instead of working through any of this, you choose to smile and nod. Lena seems to take this pretty well in stride, since she doesn't ask any follow-up questions. 1. 1.
Let's try the other one.
Selected. At space die
I'd be
sweater
glad
vest
how
at
well,
selected.
everything is going. Alright.
Save. Save slot. Load. Loads. Loads. This isn't good.
What do you mean by that?
Well, you're wondering if maybe she's not being completely honest with her feelings right now. Not to imply that she's lying or anything like that, but...
You think I'm lying to you? Why would I do that?
No. You don't think she's lying, just that, it sounded like she almost admitted she cared about Daria and then stopped herself. And you're not sure exactly how all this kismisa stuff works, but maybe at least she sees herself as having some conflicting feelings.
The only conflict we have is the healthy pitch kind.
Okay, but it doesn't really feel like she believes that. Lena's face falls and she stares down at the ground.
So is basically the whole point of this arc to get them all three in the hearts quadrant. Kind of getting that feeling.
That's not true. Everything's fine and we don't have any problems at all.
1. At space selected.
Alright, I gotta reload that one.
Load slot. Oh yeah.
Of course!
Your mind flashes back to what Lena is looking at you instead of working through 1.
Okay. That's a quick one. I probably should
save
be
slot
save the options to make them double check everything or double guess everything, but whatever.
So, a tint of color expands from Lena's cheeks to cover her whole face. She's smiling in a way you don't think you've seen from her before.
I love her.
Oh, okay. Lena blinks and shakes her head, as if she just snapped herself back to reality.
As a Moirail, I don't want things to be unclear at all. I love having her as a Moirail. She's kind and considerate, and she's always trying to do what's best. I can't imagine having a better Moirail in the whole world.
She smiles at you, nervous and forced. You're seeing a lot of those kinds of smiles lately. Quit. Save slots. Say. Close.
But how does she really feel?
How does she really feel? Lena shakes her head and wipes her eyes quickly with the back of her hand.
I wish you'd stop talking to me like this.
Like what?
You keep questioning how I feel about people. Maybe I'm not a Wiggler anymore. Maybe I know my own feelings better than you think I do.
She looks away, suddenly getting very quiet.
You don't know what it's like to be in my position. To feel things that you just can't talk to them about.
That went about as well as you should have expected it would. You rushed to quickly change the subject. 1. Selected.
How do I feel about her?
Load.
Alright, and I lost
Load
the point
slots.
on that one, so I'm
Load.
pretty sure it's going to be
Load
the
slot.
other
Yep.
option
Yep. This is all fine. Lena smiles again and nods vigorously, as if she's trying to convince herself as much as anything.
Exactly. You understand how it is, how it feels to have complicated feelings about people.
You're not sure that you said that, exactly. Pretty sure that your vague, non-committal response was designed mainly to draw as little negative attention as possible.
Sometimes those feelings aren't what you're supposed to have. Sometimes they're a lot more involved. And sometimes they're for people you're too afraid to even tell about them.
What's happening?
And that's all fine.
You're not actually sure that any of this would qualify as all fine, but
Thank you so much for talking to me. You're such a good friend.
that went about as well as you should have expected it would. You rushed to quickly change the subject. 1. Save.
Alright.
Next file pick.
Yeah, I think
Save
I
slot. Save.
got all that one.
Previous. Save. Save slot 5.
Yep, this is all fine.
Save.
Okay.
Next. Close. 1. Selected. At space die sweater
Something
vest
that
at space
Grubs
die
Club
sweater.
has a
I'm so
memorial.
glad. Selected. About the caverns.
Oh, what did you want to know?
You were mostly wondering what was happening with the caverns in general. If you're remembering your Alternian lore correctly, they should all be about the age where they have to go off-world, right?
Yes. I'm already half a sweep past when I could be called for ascension. Even Daria's hit 10 sweeps. We're all just waiting for them to find someone suited to take over, and then...
She doesn't finish the sentence, but you can see how her gaze drops. As soon as they find someone else to take over, the rest of them are gone.
The only reason we're still here is because no one has been found yet that meets the rigorous standards for cavern duty.
Save slot. What about Brynja? What if they let Brynja stay behind? In fact, why not let all 3 of them stay behind? After all, they're the ones who know the cavern. It seems like things have been running pretty smoothly to you.
They'd never let us do that. The Empire has a strict policy. Anyone who's of age for ascension needs to leave the planet as soon as possible. Those that don't, they become fugitives. I'm sorry, but I think you should be going now. I've got some things I want to write down, and I'd rather have some privacy.
You know how to take a hint with the best of them, so you quickly and quietly excuse yourself to go find someone else to talk to. 3. You really don't want to bother.
We're gonna get back to that.
So, you really don't want to bother any of them right now. It feels like they've all got their own issues to work through.
Yes,
You really
of
don't.
course.
Selected. You really don't. Save.
Alright.
Load. Load slot. Load. Load. Load slot. Wanji. You know Wanji's kind of young, but isn't she, like, 7 or 8 sweeps now? Wouldn't she be able to take over soon?
Yes, but she's pretending she's incompetent.
Wait, what?
She thinks she's hiding it really well, but I know she's faking her exam results. She doesn't want us to leave.
Lenira sighs and frowns. You're wondering if any of this has anything to do with how quick Wanji was to shut herself in her room.
She looks up to Daria a lot.
You kind of figure, the outfit was sort of a dead giveaway. Lenira smiles sadly.
Yeah, she'll be sad when we're gone. I wish I could do something more. But as far as the Empire's concerned, she's not ready yet. I'm sorry, but I think you should be going now. I've got some things I want to write down, and I'd rather have some privacy.
You know how to take a hint with the best.
Okay, let's see
Load.
what the other
Load
options
slot.
are.
Load. Load slot. Daria. Maybe Daria could take over? She seems like she'd be willing to defy the Empire at least a little bit. Maybe she could keep the others on world?
I suppose, but she's far too disinterested.
You don't know. You feel like Daria's maybe a little more mature and responsible than she was before.
I didn't say she was irresponsible. I just don't think she wants this. I don't think she really wants to be here. Not with us. Not with me.
Ooh.
I'm sorry, but I think you should be going now.
Load.
Load.
Load. Load slot.
Lank, just
ER.
finish it off.
Lenira eyes you skeptically and adjusts her glasses, pushing them up along the bridge of her nose.
Really? He's an irreconcilable party boy. I can't see him taking responsibility for anything.
You don't, actually. Well, about that. Okay, maybe she has a point. Less party boy than he used to be, maybe, but definitely not the kind of person who wants to be responsible for the entire cavern.
Exactly. You understand. I'm sorry, but I think you should be going.
Alright, I'm gonna load and go with the Daria one, I think.
I suppose, but I didn't say she was. I don't think she really. I'm sorry, but
oh, and I wrecked the auto voicer. You really don't want to bother any of them right now. It feels like they've all got their own issues to work through privately, and maybe it isn't your place to try and solve everyone else's problems like this. Let's see what the message is. Glad to have. Okay, Linera, are you okay? Yes, of course. And I think I will save it there, and we will, I think, finish off the chapter next time. I can't imagine there's really too much left to do. We did all the three of the talked to all three of the peeps here. Probably didn't put too much Wanchi in there because you had your fill of her in the last chapter. But anyway, till next time, later.